a drone didn't capture this in a lake, no one would believe it. There are 117 million lakes on Earth, and while most are just ordinary bodies of water, some contain discoveries that are better not seen in person. From mysterious statues to lakes filled with arachnids, here are 20 of the most terrifying things found in lakes. Number 20. Life-size Jason Voorhees. A scary statue from a popular horror franchise has no business being several feet underwater. Yet, if you dive deep in the waters of a man-made lake in Crosby, Minnesota, there's a chance you'll come face to face with an infamous slasher. But once you get over the initial horror, you realize you're looking at nothing but a lifeless life-size representation of Jason Voorhees. This creepy statue has been at the bottom of the lake since 2013. The person behind it? None other than electrician and avid scuba diver Doug Klein. He made the statue using thrift store clothing, a borrowed mannequin head, and plenty of creative ingenuity. Klein, along with his diving buddy Curtis Lahr, ensured that Jason's underwater resting place was no ordinary prank. They anchored the statue 112 feet below the surface, making it accessible only to advanced open-water divers. This also meant that the first few people who saw this statue were thoroughly spooked as they weren't expecting anything like it while diving. Over the years, the figure has weathered the murky depths, becoming even more menacing with age. Lahr's periodic dives to film and photograph Jason have turned the statue into an internet sensation, attracting divers from across the country. Luckily, after the first several people, its infamy made the statue an attraction rather than a terrifying jump scare underwater. Despite some concerns that the statue might frighten unsuspecting divers, its placement and depth provide a safe yet thrilling experience. Divers who descend to visit Jason often find other quirky underwater decorations nearby, including plastic flamingos and pirate figures. There's something in finding out-of-place things underwater. Being surrounded by water is already a gamble with life as it is. You don't need to add more thrill to that. Number 19. The lake that turns animals into stone. Lake Natron, located in northern Tanzania near the Kenyan border, is one of the most uniquely hostile environments on Earth. Unlike bodies of water that allow life to thrive, Lake Natron simultaneously hosts and transforms life. This body of water serves as the home of lesser flamingos that thrive in the wilderness of Tanzania. However, these creatures just might be the only beings capable of withstanding the lake's unusually high alkalinity and extreme temperatures. These two factors create conditions that can turn dead animals into calcified statues, preserving them as if turned to stone. The water in Lake Natron has a pH level as high as 10.5 to 12, making it highly caustic, akin to ammonia. The lake's temperature can soar to 140 degrees Fahrenheit during the dry season. If one walks around Lake Natron, it would be natural to discover calcified animals, from birds to bats. These animals fell into the lake and were later preserved by the caustic waters. Number 18. Underwater Stonehenge of Michigan. In 2007, underwater archaeologist Mark Hawley from Northwestern Michigan College discovered something intriguing in the depths of Lake Michigan, an incredible arrangement of stones sitting about 40 feet beneath the lake's surface. Now known as Lake Michigan Stonehenge, this structure has been the subject of archaeologist fascination since its discovery. After all, over a decade of studying, the purpose of this stone structure is yet to be uncovered. The statue itself is quite simple. It consists of a circular formation, some of which are up to 5 feet long and 3.5 to 4 feet high. One stone in particular has drawn significant attention due to what appears to be a carving of a mastodon, an ancient animal that roamed North America over 10,000 years ago. If authentic, this petroglyph could suggest that the stone structure dates back to the same era, making it one of the oldest known structures in North America. Some researchers believe that the stones were arranged by ancient peoples when the lake bed was dry, possibly during the last ice age. However, the exact reason for their placement and the identity of those who arranged them remain elusive. Number 17. Skeletons and cars at the bottom of Foss Lake. In September 2013, during a routine test of new sonar equipment, Oklahoma Highway Patrol divers stumbled upon 2 vintage cars submerged in the depths of Foss Lake, Oklahoma. Somehow, the testing of new equipment led to a cold case being solved. The first car, a 1969 Chevrolet Camaro, held the remains of 3 teenagers, 16-year-old Jimmy Allen Williams and 18-year-olds Thomas Michael Rios and Leah Gale Johnson. They vanished on the 20th of November in 1970 after reportedly heading out to watch a football game. Their sudden disappearance left families and authorities puzzled for over 40 years. The second vehicle, a 1950 Chevrolet, contained the skeletons of 3 adults believed to be connected to another cold case from the late 1950s. John Alva Porter, 69, and his friends disappeared under mysterious circumstances with no trace left behind until the unexpected discovery of their cars in the lake. How the two cars ended up in the lake remains a mystery. However, with this discovery, families who have spent decades trying to find their missing loved ones finally received closure. Number 16. Tree log floating vertically. In the pristine waters of Crater Lake, Oregon, is a tree stump. What's so special about a tree stump? Well, this one has been floating vertically in the lake for over 120 years. Crater Lake itself is a geological marvel, formed around 7,700 years ago by the collapse of Mount Mazama. It's the deepest lake in the United States, reaching depths of nearly 2,000 feet. It's likely that the cold waters preserved the log in time. This 30-foot-long stump became known as the Old Man of the Lake, and its mystery has captivated researchers and locals for over a century. This log was first documented by geologist Joseph Diller in 1896. He noted that despite its vertical position, the log remains remarkably stable, even supporting the weight of a person standing on it. Over the years, it's been observed traveling significant distances across the lake. In a 1938 study commissioned by Washington, D.C., the Old Man was tracked moving more than 62 miles in just 3 months, propelled by wind and currents. The Old Man doesn't affect the local ecosystem. It's just existing. Despite being harmless, its very existence has befuddled scientists. For one, the question of why it's floating vertically has remained a puzzle to this day. Some suggest that the lower part of the stump, having been submerged in the cold water for so long, has become denser, thus stabilizing its buoyancy. Others, however, claim that the log might have initially held large rocks at its base, keeping it upright until they eventually fell off or decomposed. It's not surprising that the Old Man has also inspired local legends. Some believe it has the power to control the weather. This superstition was fueled in 1988 when scientists tethered the log to the shore to prevent it from obstructing their submarine explorations. Soon after, the weather turned stormy and even snowy in August, leading them to release the Old Man, after which the weather cleared. Today, the Old Man of the Lake remains a cherished and mysterious feature of Crater Lake National Park, continuing to drift serenely and bafflingly in its ancient waters. Number 15. Two-mouthed creature. It was supposed to be a mundane fishing trip for Debbie Geddes in New York Lake in 2019, but one of her catches made her trip memorable. Instead of a normal fish, she caught a big lake trout, but it's not its size that made it remarkable. It's the fish's second mouth. This peculiar fish quickly went viral after photos were shared online. Experts have speculated about the cause of this anomaly. It could be due to environmental factors, a past mutation, or a genetic mutation. Despite the unusual appearance, the fish seemed healthy and was a regular lake trout. After taking photos of the bizarre creature, Debbie released it into the lake. Well, hopefully it wasn't caught again. Living with two mouths is hard enough as it is. Number 14. Bizarre magnetic anomaly. Deep beneath New Zealand's Lake Rotorua, a significant magnetic anomaly was discovered earlier this year. Lake Rotorua, situated in the crater of a dormant volcano on New Zealand's North Island, is well known for its geothermal activity, including bubbling mud pools and natural hot springs. Recently, researchers from GNS Science conducted detailed mapping of the area through advanced multi-beam echo sounder technology and discovered something intriguing: a large magnetic anomaly at the bottom of the lake. Now, it's normal to find magnetic objects in volcanic rocks known as mineral magnetite, but usually they're positive magnetic anomalies. Yet, the anomaly detected in Lake Rotorua was negative. Scientists believe that this anomaly is pyrite, a transformed magnetite commonly known as fool's gold. Until they conduct further studies, however, we're left unsure about the real classification of this anomaly. Number 13. The monster in the remote lake of Russia. For generations, stories about a monster lurking in the icy waters of Siberia's Lake Labinker persisted. This enigmatic creature is often compared to Scotland's Loch Ness Monster due to the similar eerie sightings and folklore surrounding it. To begin with, Labinker Lake, situated in the Oymyakon district of the Sakha Republic, is an unusual body of water. Despite the extreme Siberian cold, which can drop to a bone-chilling -76 degrees Fahrenheit, the lake never completely freezes over. The reason behind this phenomenon remains unknown to this day. Scientists speculate that this could be due to underground hot springs or volcanic activity heating the lake from below, but nothing has been concluded. The lake spans about 17 square miles and reaches depths of up to 263 feet, with some parts still unexplored by divers due to the harsh conditions and thick ice cover in winter. With that being said, there are plenty of reasons why the Labinker monster's existence persists. After all, with plenty of the lake being unexplored, there's still room for a monster to hide. The first recorded sighting of the Labinker monster dates back to the 19th century, when a Yakut hunter reported seeing a massive gray aquatic creature with wide-set eyes and a huge mouth. Since then, numerous sightings have been reported by both locals and scientists. These accounts depict a creature with a long serpentine body, smooth gray skin, and multiple rows of sharp teeth. In 1953, Soviet geologist Viktor Tverdoklebov led an expedition to the lake and reported seeing a large animal resembling an orca near the surface. More recently, in 2012, Ludmila Emelianova, an associate professor at Moscow State University, used sonar to detect several large underwater objects in the lake, much bigger than any known fish. These findings have fueled further speculation about the existence of the alleged devil living in Labinker Lake. Now, it is possible that this alleged creature is nothing but a misidentified species, but for those who have seen it, it's a monster lurking in the local lake. Number 12. A lake filled with skeletons. High up in the Himalayas at an altitude of a staggering 16,000 feet is the Rupkund Lake, also known as Skeleton Lake. Its name is pretty self-explanatory. Instead of life, this lake is filled with death. The shores of Rupkund are scattered with the skeletal remains of hundreds of individuals, and to this day we're still unsure who these people are, where they came from, how they died, and why they were 16,000 feet up in the Himalayas. We have some facts, but it's impossible to tie the puzzle together. The harsh and isolated environment of the lake has preserved these remains remarkably well, allowing for detailed scientific analysis. Subsequent studies revealed that the bones belong to various groups of people who perished at different times, some dating back as far as the 9th century. Recent DNA studies have identified two distinct groups among the dead. One group appears to be of South Asian origin, while the other group has Mediterranean ancestry, likely from present-day Greece and Crete. Again, instead of giving us answers, it made things more difficult. How or why did people from such distant regions end up in this remote part of the Himalayas? The answer is still out there. According to local folklore, however, the skeletons belong to a king and his entourage. Upon angering a goddess by disrespecting a sacred pilgrimage route, a deadly hailstorm claimed their lives. In the end, the path they disrespected became their very own resting place where their remains continue to exist to this day. Rupkund is only accessible for a few months each year, typically between May and October, when the snow melts enough to reveal the lake and its macabre contents. This makes Rupkund one of the most treacherous bodies of water on the planet. Number 11. Christ statue at the bottom of Lake Michigan. In 1956, a grieving family ordered an 1,850-pound marble crucifix from Italy to honor their son who had died in a farm accident. Unfortunately, the statue was damaged during shipment, and the family refused to accept it. After all, it was a statue meant to honor their son. And so, the crucifix found its way to a local diving club. After purchasing the marble statue, they decided to lower it into Lake Michigan in 1962 in honor of a fellow diver who had drowned in Torch Lake. Over time, the statue became a memorial for all those who have perished in water. That is why, if you dive about 20 feet into the Little Traverse Bay near Petoskey, Michigan, you'll find this 11-foot-long crucifix with a 5-foot 5-inch statue of Jesus. Its placement was adjusted in 1985 to make it more accessible for viewing as sediment had begun to obscure it. Since then, the site has become a pilgrimage of sorts, attracting divers during particularly cold winters when the ice is thick enough. Hundreds of onlookers brave the elements to catch a glimpse through a viewing hole cut in the ice. Although meant to honor the deceased, several have expressed how eerie it is to see the statue beneath the murky waters. Well, it'll surely spook a clueless diver or onlooker. Number 10. A lake becomes a giant fishbowl. There's a reason why you don't just free animals into foreign ecosystems, because if you do, this just might happen. Years ago, a local dumped about 3 or 4 of their pet goldfish in Teller Lake in Boulder, Colorado. Sounds like the best thing to do, right? Not really. These seemingly harmless pets quickly adapted to their new environment and began to multiply at an astonishing rate, which isn't really supposed to happen. Today, it's estimated that the lake hosts between 3,000 and 4,000 goldfish. This explosion in population poses a significant threat to the local ecosystem. Goldfish are not native to the area, and their presence disrupts the balance of the lake's natural aquatic life. They compete with native species like bluegill, channel catfish, and sunfish for food and habitat, potentially introducing diseases that can further harm the ecosystem. In fact, this is the scariest thing for biologists and wildlife conservationists. The situation soon became so severe that Colorado Parks and Wildlife considered drastic measures to remove the goldfish, ranging from electrofishing to draining the entire lake. These goldfish did not go to waste, however, as CPW planned on feeding them to raptors at a local rehabilitation facility, turning a problematic situation into a beneficial one for local wildlife. So if you have a goldfish that you can't take care of anymore, you might want to find someone else to take care of them or donate them to a local pet store rather than dumping them in local waters. Number 9. A shark stuck in time. Bull sharks are the only shark species capable of surviving in freshwater. However, several feet beneath Lake Neuchâtel in Switzerland is one shark that has been scaring divers since 2002. This shark, however, is lifeless. It's a large fiberglass shark statue that was obviously made to scare unsuspecting divers, judging from its exaggerated features. But what's the story behind a shark? This 20-foot-long model, complete with a menacing grin and formidable jaws, was likely a prop from a 1975 local film produced by a group of children from Neuchâtel. Although the film was never completed, the shark prop remained, eventually finding its way to the bottom of the lake. The statue sits on a supporting structure, making it appear as if it's swimming, which makes it 10 times scarier than usual. I know that in the past, someone almost had a heart attack finding the shark at the depth of the murky waters. I know I would scramble away from it at the first sight of its menacing sharp teeth. Number 8. Ghost Town of Bluffton. Old Bluffton, Texas, is a place that has been buried by time. Initially established in the mid-19th century, Bluffton turned into an important stagecoach stop in the Texas Hill Country. The community thrived with a post office, school, general store, and even a hotel. However, the town's fate changed with the advent of the New Deal era and the construction of the Buchanan Dam, a significant infrastructure project aimed at flood control and electricity generation. Completed in 1937, Buchanan Dam's construction was part of the broader effort to control the Colorado River and bring hydroelectric power to rural Texas. The dam created Lake Buchanan, which rapidly filled due to heavy rains, submerging Bluffton and forcing its residents to relocate. Approximately 50 families had to move their homes, businesses, and even graves to higher ground. And so, today, the remnants of old Bluffton lie beneath the lake, only resurfacing during periods of extreme drought. When water levels drop, the ghost town reemerges, revealing the foundations of buildings, old roads, and other remnants of the now-forgotten town. It goes to show just how easy it is to erase an entire town from existence. The once-lived and thriving town is now nothing but ruins beneath the waters, waiting for nature to reclaim it completely. Number 7. The lake that changed colors overnight. In June 2020, Lonar Lake in Maharashtra, India, dramatically changed from its usual green hue to a striking pink. Needless to say, the event spooked scientists and locals. Lonar Lake is already known to be a site of geological and ecological interest. The lake's sudden change in color, however, was something unexpected. While it was spooky in the beginning, scientists proposed several explanations for this strange phenomenon. Scientists believe that increased salinity in the lake, combined with high temperatures, led to the proliferation of certain microorganisms. One primary suspect is the Dunaliella salina algae, which is known to produce a red pigment called beta-carotene under high salinity and light conditions. The presence of pink-colored bacteria could also be responsible for the drastic change. Despite the possible explanations, it was still pretty alarming to see a huge body of water change color overnight. This expectedly led to several theories that persisted among the locals. Number 6. A lake filled with toxic foam. Here's another bizarre discovery in Bellinder Lake in India. Bellinder Lake in Bengaluru, India, has a long history. This body of water is about 130 years old. However, it might be nearing its end. A long time ago, it hosted a thriving ecosystem, but today it's a lake of death. The lake frequently spews toxic foam, a result of a high concentration of untreated sewage and industrial waste. These pollutants include surfactants from household detergents and industrial chemicals, which do not decompose and instead accumulate, forming thick layers of foam. Heavy rains exacerbate the problem by washing more pollutants into the lake, which then churns up the sludge and releases foam onto nearby roads and residential areas. This lake is so polluted that it sometimes even ignites. The lake's surface often contains flammable substances such as oil and phosphorus, which can ignite under the right conditions. Methane gas produced from decomposing organic matter in the sewage accumulates under the foam. When exposed to a spark or fire from nearby burning garbage, it can cause significant fires, as seen in incidents in 2015, 2017, and 2021. Around 600 million liters of untreated sewage flow into the lake daily, far exceeding the capacity of existing sewage treatment plants. Efforts to mitigate the pollution, such as legal actions and community protests, have so far been insufficient to resolve the underlying issues. And so, to this day, this lake remains a problem for the nation. Number 5. A lake filled with jellies. Would you dive into a lake filled with jellyfish? It seems daunting at first, but if you're in Jellyfish Lake, located on Almac Island in Palau, you've got nothing to worry about. Unless you're scared of jellyfish, that is. The lake, formed around 12,000 years ago due to rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age, is isolated from the ocean, creating a unique ecosystem. It soon became home to millions of golden jellyfish that evolved to be quite distinct from their kin living in the ocean. You see, these creatures get nutrients through photosynthesis, and unlike their oceanic relatives, they have a milder sting which makes them harmless to humans. This has made the lake a popular snorkeling destination, allowing visitors to swim along the swarms of jellyfish without the risk of painful stings. However, to protect the fragile environment, strict regulations are in place, and snorkeling is sometimes suspended to allow the ecosystem to recover from environmental stress. So, do you think you have the courage to dive into this jellyfish-rich water? I know I would jump at the chance to do so. Number 4. UFO Incident. On the night of March 8, 1994, residents along the eastern shore of Lake Michigan witnessed one of the most compelling and widely reported UFO incidents in history. This event, known as the Lake Michigan UFO Incident, involved hundreds of people from Grand Haven to the Indiana state line who reported seeing mysterious lights in the sky. According to witnesses, 5 to 6 objects appeared across the night sky. These lights were reported to local authorities, including the police and the Michigan chapter of the Mutual UFO Network, which received over 300 calls from concerned residents across 42 counties. With the scale of the incident and the number of concerned citizens calling, authorities had no choice but to investigate the incident seriously. National Weather Service meteorologist Jack Bushong claimed that at the time he was at the Muskegon County radar station when he received a call from a 911 dispatcher about the strange sightings. As Bushong monitored the radar, he observed multiple objects displaying instantaneous movement and changing altitudes at rapid speeds, which did not match any known aircraft or weather phenomena. Bushong noted that the objects moved in a manner that suggested intelligent control, hovering and then darting across the radar screen. At one point, he described seeing 3 to 4 blips on the radar, each significantly larger than typical aircraft returns, moving in formations that resembled a wide triangle over Lake Michigan. Despite numerous investigations and much public interest, the Lake Michigan UFO incident remains unexplained. What did people see over the lake at the time? Is this incident extraterrestrial in origin, or is it just another man-made incident? I'll let you be the judge. Number 3. Thousands of mysterious dead fish. In July 2020, residents of a small Missouri community were left baffled after discovering thousands of dead fish floating in a local lake. The event occurred overnight following a thunderstorm, and the sight of the lifeless fish covering the lake's surface was shocking and perplexing for the locals. Kelly Mano, a resident who lives by the 15-acre lake, was among the first to notice the devastation. Initially, she suspected that a lightning strike during the storm might have electrocuted the fish. However, this theory was quickly dismissed when it was observed that other aquatic life, including frogs and snakes, remained unharmed. Further investigation by the Missouri Department of Conservation revealed that similar incidents had been reported in other nearby lakes, leading to increased speculation about the cause. Despite the thorough investigation, officials were unable to pinpoint a definitive reason for the mass die-off. They suggested potential factors such as an oxygen depletion event, algae bloom, or contamination, but no conclusive evidence was found to support any single theory. To this day, this incident remains an unexplained and eerie encounter for the local neighborhood. Number 2. A lake of death. There's a reason why you should be careful when exploring unknown waters. Aside from encountering possibly deadly creatures, there's the risk that you could be wading through radioactive waters that could be lethal to any living creature. One such body of water is located in the Ural Mountains of Russia, known as Lake Karachay. You see, this lake has been subject to illegal dumping of radioactive waste since 1951. The Mayak facility, built in the 1940s, was part of the Soviet Union's nuclear weapons program. Due to poor waste management practices and a series of nuclear accidents, including the KYSHTYM disaster in 1957, large amounts of radioactive material were discharged into Lake Karachay. This resulted in extremely high levels of radioactive isotopes such as cesium-137 and strontium-90 accumulating in the lake. In the 1960s, the lake began to dry up, and radioactive dust was carried by the wind, further contaminating the surrounding areas and affecting the health of local populations. It was estimated that about 500,000 people were exposed to harmful levels of radiation, leading to increased rates of cancer, birth defects, and other radiation-related illnesses. Despite efforts to mitigate its radioactivity, the lake continues to be one of the deadliest bodies of water on the planet. Now it's time for today's topic. If a drone didn't capture this in a lake, no one would believe it. Isolated bodies of water are always the subject of lore and conspiracies. This isolated lake is no different, but it seems like the bizarre tales surrounding it aren't based on nonsense. When a drone owner captured this photo, you can see a fishtail breaking through the surface of the water. But what's bizarre is the fact that it seems like its body resembles a human. How could that be? Could this be a mermaid lurking in the lake? Or is it just a normal human practicing swimming using their fake mermaid tail? Regardless of the truth, this only allowed stories about the local lake to persist. Number 1. A lake of arachnids. In 2018, the Greek lake Stonehenge became the nightmare of arachnophobes when it became the host to a massive spider web that measures an entire mile long. The unusual event was caused by a proliferation of spiders known for their elongated bodies and the ability to create extensive webs near aquatic environments. These spiders are sometimes referred to as stretch spiders due to their unique appearance and web-building habits. The phenomenon, though rare, was driven by an unusually warm spell, which led to a surge in the populations of mosquitoes and gnats, prime food sources for the spiders. This abundance of prey created ideal conditions for the spiders to multiply and produce the extensive webs that drape over bushes, fences, and trees around the lake, creating a scene that would scare those who aren't terrified of spiders. I always pick up a spider and let it outside if one of them ventures into my room. But this sends chills down my spine. That last discovery spooked me, but perhaps you guys have scary experiences to share. Feel free to share them in the comments down below. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on the screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video.